And we are live again. I'm Rob.
I'm Chuck.
And today we are here in the Pursuit of Purpose studios for another live episode of our What Are We Doing podcast. We welcome you into our live session today, and we invite you that if you have input, comments, questions, something on your mind that you'd like to discuss, please engage. Dive in, jump in with us, and let's talk about it. There's no topic that we'll say is necessarily out of bounds. We want to be respectful. If you want to engage with us, we are glad to have you with us.
Yes, we are.
So thank you for allowing us to become a part of the pursuit of your purpose. And the topic that we're working on, if we stay on target, we are going through a series. And we're talking about how younger generations are not as committed to independence.
Yes.
And last week at this time, we had a great episode, and we talked about how they don't want to drive,
right,
for whatever reason.
Right.
And I was talking about my own personal experience. I've got a 19-year-old daughter, and she has been very unambitious about getting her driver's license and leaving the nest.
Right.
Venturing out into the world on our own. And then today, we're going to talk about the
cost of these things,
the economic impact.
Is that having an influence over some of these decisions, some of these failure to license, if you will? I use the word failure just for conversational effect, friends, because we used to say failure to launch. Remember, that was a big thing. Well, it's kind of in that same vein.
Matthew McConaughey was in a movie.
He was.
It was
Sarah Jessica Parker,
that's right.
And Terry Bradshaw.
That's right.
Yeah, and I think mother was Kathy Bates.
That's
right. The great Kathy Bates.
Yep.
And so, but yeah, the cost of these things, and which costs have gone up, tremendously in just the last 5 or 6 years. And I know we may look at a few of those numbers, but I'm pretty sure in our audience, you guys have seen this in just your own expenses, groceries, and various other things. And is that having an effect? What do you think? Are you looking at either your teens or other teens and your friends and family in those communities and thinking, yeah, I could see that. I could see that they are having these discouragements. And is that having an effect? And so hopefully we'll talk a little bit more about that today and come to some conclusions. And I don't know, we'll see where this conversation takes us.
It's a fascinating thing. How do you think, directly wise, for us, for instance, this 19-year-old we have has definitely impacted our expenses.
Yes.
Our home economy has been influenced by this, because as she is, she's a joy to us. We love her. She is one of our precious children. And the fact still remains that she is the oldest to have stayed in the nest.
Okay.
We have an audience participant that says they have several friends with kids that don't want to drive, and she doesn't understand herself. She was expected to get her license, and she got hers at 15.
Okay.
And like most of us did. I know I started, and thank you, Ann, for that.
Yes,
thank you. I know I started driving when I was probably, a little before that. Before that, I started driving like go-karts and dirt bikes and anything I could get my hands on that had a motor. I wanted independence.
Right.
And then as soon as we could, I'm sure you were the same way.
Yes.
You got your permit, and then look out world.
There you go. Yeah, almost exactly. We had motorcycles, and that gets you as far as you can. And what was our rule? If it was on a good Saturday, drive half a tank as far as you want to go, because you have half a tank to get back home.
Yeah.
And those sorts of things. But yeah, I wanted to be mobile. I wanted to move. I wanted to explore, and to do that in the confines of a car or truck or motorcycle. Yeah, that was the way to go. So why some of these kids are delaying, I don't know that the costs are directly affecting them. Maybe it's affecting their folks.
It's not affecting. That's what I was about to say. It's not affecting my daughter's expenses. No. She has that.
Exactly.
I think that's part of the problem.
Yes.
See, when we were growing up, or when I was growing up in my household, if I wanted extras, if I wanted frills, I had to go out and earn them. I had to make the money and pay for it myself.
Right.
Because we weren't what you call well off. We had enough. We had food, we had clothes, we had shoes, we had what was needed. But my parents weren't about that life of providing all the luxuries.
Right.
And I think that's one of the fallacies of modern parenting, and I'm guilty. Guilty. Of giving our kids a better life than what we had, trying to give them more than what we got. And what we should be doing, if we were smart, is we'd be teaching them to do better than what we did.
Yes, not have.
That's right.
To do. Yes, I can remember when I was probably about 11 or 12. Our church back in those days, a lot of churches would own what someone might call it parsonage or something like that, and it was literally at one end of our street, and we lived at the other. So I was the cheapest labor they could find to drag my parents' lawnmower to the other end of down the street, past about 10 or 12 houses, mow the grass, and it was a pretty decent sized lot. And then come home, and I got paid $5. And I want to say I was about 11 or 12, but you'd have thought they'd paid me $500. I felt so rich. And I started talking with my dad about it. So he and I actually negotiated. I would use his lawnmower and his gas, and I may mow a neighbor's yard for say $10. He got a portion, and I got to keep a portion.
Wow.
And the portion he got was the wear and tear on his machine. Now, that was a full summer. Now, what I didn't know at the end of the summer is he actually gave it all back to me. He's going to teach me a lesson.
That was pretty smart of your dad.
Yes, exactly.
He was instilling entrepreneurial principles into you.
And there you go.
From an early age.
And
that was very
moving
smart.
forward, I got that taste for making money. And so wherever we lived, I would grab a lawnmower and walk up and down the street, find the tallest grass I could find, knock on the door, and I was earning money. And so all the way through high school, I had a little wad of cash in my pocket. I wasn't rich, but I had. If I want to go get a hamburger, I'd go. And so I appreciated that lesson, and I think maybe that kept an appetite for the next best thing. So it's like the driving thing. Well, I could walk up and down the street and make money, but boy, what could I get if I could drive? And now I'm going to a job. Now I'm going to better places.
So one of the fascinating aspects that we've noticed in our home, or I know I've noticed, and my wife has especially, but with a chronological, and I'm going to emphasize the word chronological adult living in our home. Our expenses have grown quite a bit.
Yes.
And what is fascinating to me, and I feel like I've failed in this area, is that we've noticed that there is this overarching sense of entitlement to everything.
Oh.
At 19, 19, we get told the things that are wanted and needed, such as, well, I really need some new clothes. I really need razors. I really need this, that, and the other, whatever they are. And we get told these things with the very clear expectation that we are to provide them. So like it's this fascinating concept.
So in this chronology, and just curious, so where is she in responsibility? Is she out of school?
Right now she's out. She's supposed to start in October. She's supposed to start local junior college.
Local junior college. Okay. So she has now crossed that river, if you will, from the threshold from the high school, state mandate, whatever. Now she's in more of this volunteer state. I'm going to register at the junior college and start there.
Right.
So, I'm presuming you and your lovely wife are already working up your conversations to say, no, that was when you had to be somewhere 8-9 hours a day. Now you can go get your own money.
Yeah.
And pay for those things.
And we make those, we say those things, and the hard thing is, we say it, but then she takes no action because the lack of ambition or lack of independence. Yeah. And then we're left in this quandary of what to do.
Right.
Are we going to have a hairy-legged kid running around because we didn't buy her razors? We leave the house. When I say we, I mean my wife and our the two youngest of our brood. And for those of you out there that don't know us, we have in our family eight kids, 8 kids, ladies and gentlemen. And of those, 3 remain at home. And the 2 youngest, one is 7 and one is 10. So we have a 19-year-old, a 10-year-old, and a 7-year-old at home. Well, during the day, all that's left at the house now is the 19-year-old. So she's got, and this is, I meant to do it this morning. Reminded myself right here live on air. Okay. I meant to turn the Wi-Fi off before I left.
Okay.
But then she's got a phone.
Yeah.
But that phone is the only thing I can use as an incentive to get her to do anything.
Wow.
Because she doesn't have a driver's license. She doesn't have a car. Actually, the truth is, my wife and I have given her a car, but she doesn't have a driver's license, so she can't have it.
Oh.
Like it's just
so
this
a car that can't be used.
Right. It's just this endless seeming cycle of dependence and entitlement.
Yes.
And we don't know how to put a stop to it. So I would love it if anybody in the audience out there has some input for this, we have, my wife and I've made plenty of mistakes, especially me. I've been probably the biggest source of mistakes in our household, but we have sent out into the world several successful, entering into adulthood kids.
Right.
And they are employed. They are contributing to society. What happened? What did we do differently and wrong with this one? And why is it that it's not unique? We see this more and more.
Right. That's interesting. I was listening to a sermon not long ago, and this particular speaker was talking about some of these key figures in what would be biblical history and now, of course, world history. And I mean, these amazing things, 100 years to build a boat that saved, every mammal on earth kind of thing, but just as soon as that task was done, he fell apart. He grew a vineyard and got drunk, and lost all of his clothes somewhere in the process. I'm talking about Noah, for instance.
Yeah.
And Moses similar too. And these so it's almost like a father looking at these children who see these moments of absolute brilliance through which he can do these amazing things for his children. However, if left to their own devices for that long, it goes very wrong. And I think of us as parents like that, like, oh my goodness, we get it going in the direction, and we have so much of these accrued accomplishments, and then the moment we relax, it falls apart. And you're like, where did you go? You were on such a trajectory. Why did you stop? And so I don't know that I have a perfect answer. I'm sure the Lord had a perfect answer, but it happens. It even happens all throughout history as well.
So are you telling me that as soon as they're all out of the house, I'm going to fall apart and get drunk?
Do you own a vineyard?
Not yet.
Oh, no. Because, once all the animals are off the ark, go get your vineyard.
But he had his kids and everything in there too. Like, so I thought that's what you were referencing. Because, he wasn't just trapped in there with a bunch of animals. The kids probably stunk worse than all the animals.
Don't you know?
Yeah. And they probably irritated it. He probably went and took care of the animals to get away from the kids. He was like, I'll see y'all later. I got to make the rounds with,
I often wondered if he built windows kind of at the top of the ark where every now and then he could go up and just get some fresh air. This place stinks.
Yeah.
Oh my word. So yes, go start planting your vineyard now. So as soon as the babies are gone, you'll have grapes. They'll all be in harvest mode, and you can just do all that you need to do.
So we digress slightly. We got off on a little tangent, and we'll get back on track here. But the point is that this is affecting our economy. It's not just affecting our lifestyle. It is impacting our lifestyle, but economically speaking, we typically have this burst of youth into the workforce. Okay. So that burst of youth into the workforce makes youthful buying decisions, which then increases revenue for local economy. So if we have a trend of lesser independence and lesser driven towards entrepreneurialism, lesser driven towards generating an income and contributing to society, if they're staying at home, I also see this as having a negative impact on our local economy as well, not just my household economy.
Yeah.
But she should be out working for someone,
Right.
and then spending her money on dumb stuff like the rest of us when we were young.
Right.
You know, supporting the local economy.
Yes.
Going to fast food, going to the movies, going to buy clothes, going to buy shoes.
Absolutely.
Spending it. I mean, think about that, you know, trickling effect.
Right. Right.
Without her being a producer.
Mm-hmm. I wonder the statistics on that. Like for every teenager that spends their average dollars on everything from modest entertainment to Taco Bell or whatever it is they do, I wonder how many jobs they can support in an average year. You know, for one spender could probably support several people's jobs.
Right.
And so, and that's not counting the bigger spenders, like we're the grocery buyers, we're the car buyers. And I'm talking just your average teen who might spend, say, I don't know, a few hundred a week.
Right.
On things. And I bet you the numbers are fairly impressive, you know, the one per employee kind of thing. And so are we gonna see a trend where fewer and fewer people are going to be able to keep their doors open?
Well, look at the local shopping malls.
Yes.
The decline in the local shopping mall. You know, we talk about Amazon and Walmart.com and these other online retailers being the downfall of local retail. But in truth, if you look at this aspect of it, it's not just that.
No.
It's the lack of ambition and independence in our youth. See, when we were kids, we wanted to go hang out at the social place, and the mall typically was the social place.
There you go.
Where we live in Southeast Texas, we've got a few malls. We've got Beaumont that had Parkdale Mall, and then we've got Central Mall over in Nederland. And then if you go to Baytown, you've got the mall there. And those were all, you know, when we were kids, they were big hangouts.
Sure. And even younger than that, I remember a little small gang of neighborhood kids on their bikes. There were several convenience stores within a few miles. We could take what little cash we had, ride there, get snacks, and then come back and hang out somewhere, and then just go play all day on all that sugar. And so, I mean, they didn't mind seeing us coming. We were good kids, you know, nobody was stealing or tearing anything up. But yeah, we were, I guess, part of their revenue too.
Yeah. So when you go to look at your local mall these days, and you look at how desolate it seems and how hard it is for any retail business to stay alive in there, you have to put this as part of the equation,
right?
That our youth, and that starts, you know, 15, 16 years old, all the way up, they are losing their drive. And I think part of the cause of that is this thing. We sit on these things and decide that, well, I don't have to move. I don't have to go anywhere. I don't have to see you in person.
Yeah, the world is here.
Yes.
The world is in my little device here. So why go out and find the world? The world just came to me.
And I really believe that one of our biggest contributing factors to this decline in independence is the increase in technology and the social media aspect of life.
Right.
And, you know, we've had a lot to do with in our practice lately, and on our show, talking about Charlie Kirk and Erica Kirk, and about Irina, the young lady that was killed on the train in North Carolina. We've talked a lot about this stuff, and we've talked about a lot of past cases. We had a live show yesterday dealing with that. And something that we haven't talked about yet, but it plays into this topic, is the value of living human life outdoors. The value of living human life offline is being lost. Well, and that's a huge part of the decline in independence.
It is. And if I may say, living as intended.
Yes.
We were not intended to be sedentary. We were not intended to be enclosed. You know, if you think about, I mean, I'm not trying to get too hokey about us as the created, but we were intended as these bipedal creatures who could grip to get out there and to do things.
He can't just say 2 feet. He's got to say bipedal. He's got to use some big technical term.
Well, I read at least one book.
Right.
You know, and actually, I probably didn't read the whole thing, but I read enough to get that word out of it. But anyway, I digress with my encouragement. Get up. Move, go do something. Take your kids outside. I was talking to a grandmother the other day, and her children, she got the privilege of being able to babysit them, and but she went to their house. And I said, well, that's pretty cool. What'd y'all do? She goes, not much indoors. She goes, we went outside. It was a beautiful day.
Good.
Yeah. And the kids had a blast. Now, when we came in, I got them cleaned up, got them a snack and all that. They went straight to their devices. She said, and I started to interrupt them, but I thought, well, we just spent an hour outside. I'll grace on that one a little bit. Because I'm just babysitting. I'm not the parent per se, but she said, I just couldn't see them. See, because they were wanting to, hey, turn this on, hey, turn that on. And she's like, before we do that, and I thought, good for you, Grandma. That's how it should have gone. And then they worked up an appetite to be able to sit down and cool off and maybe enjoy their game or their TV or whatever. But we definitely got that backwards because, as you warned earlier, we've become more teaching our kids to be more collectors, more getters than doers.
Yes.
And so, and I know when my children were growing up, and fortunately it was very much on the early end of a lot of these, telephone devices, cell phones or whatever. So they were always getting hand-me-downs or something more crude than that. Now later, I'm sure they were able to afford better things for themselves, but we didn't do that.
Right.
And I guess maybe we could have, but by that point, it kind of worked to our advantage. So I know sometimes these parents who, like if a parent grows up with something, so if you're in the generation where you grew up with a smartphone of some sort, so you have this idea, well, if I had this, my kids should have it too. Well, now I have young people coming sitting on my couch. I know you talk to them too. They're almost kind of angry that their parents gave them access to so many things that have now become hurtful that they're mad about it. Like, I was 11 and 12 years old. I had no business with one of these things.
But the parent didn't know.
It
was so new and untested and unknown.
Yeah.
And how did they know? How could they have known?
That's true. But
you can only operate with the tools you're equipped with.
That's true. And I suppose the children who are now in their early 20s are looking back at the parents and saying, but so why would you give me something that you didn't think through? Why would, so they're holding their parents accountable to some degree. Now, to their credit, they're holding themselves accountable to now do something about it.
Yes.
I'm in my 20s now. Mr. Chuck, I need to stop using this so much for all these reasons I shouldn't, whether it's a gambling problem or whatever. And that's where we start our solutions. But they do a little bit of reverse engineering to where the problem started. And some of them, and I'm talking to parents, either it's you or someone that has young ones, and say, are you really sure that's a great idea to just hand your kid a digital device to keep their mind entertained?
And I get the allure of it. It is very tempting to fall into, well, I just want to shut them up, so I give them this. I give them a phone, I give them an iPad, I give them technology, I give them whatever it is, online gaming, whatever it is. And without thinking, inadvertently, you have then turned their minds over to the control of someone else without love. That person or entity, whatever it may be, has their own agenda, their own purposes, and usually it's profit.
Yes.
Sometimes it's more perverse.
Yes.
And sometimes it even leads to radicalization later on.
Yes.
So it's our fault.
Right.
It's our fault, 100%. And I was thinking about it while you were talking. And one of the major differences in our older kids versus our younger kids, when I say older, our oldest son is almost 27. Oh my goodness. What has happened?
Right.
So anyway,
my youngest is 29. Yes. I don't want to hear it.
Stop it. So anyway, he didn't have a smartphone.
Right.
And then the two 24-year-olds didn't have smartphones. And even the 21-year-old, she didn't have a smartphone. But the 19-year-old, she didn't necessarily have it early, but she got it before they ever did.
Interesting.
And I never even put that together, that correlation.
Yeah.
And that is a fascinating break.
Right.
And she's right. Like, that is just crazy to me thinking about that.
Right.
And, I do things with my kids, especially the ones that I still have at the house that I can do things with. I work towards taking them out. out of the house, offline, and keeping them active. This past weekend, I had the privilege and honor of taking the two littlest ones and the oldest one fishing.
Yeah.
I took them out. We went saltwater fishing in our boat. And as we walked out the door, getting in the truck to head towards, the boat ramp, the littlest one, he's 7 years old. When he walks out the door, guess what he was carrying? He was carrying his iPad.
Oh.
And he was so proud that he had charged it to bring it with us. And I looked at him and I said, son, you're not bringing the iPad. We're going fishing. We're going fishing. And that's what we're going to do. And you can have fun fishing. You can take a break from the fishing, but you're going to be there in the moment with us the whole time.
Right.
And, as kids, we know that kids don't do what we say. They do what they see us do.
Yes.
They absorb what we do. And I know that in our line of work, and especially with what I've been doing a whole lot of lately, I'm on social media a lot.
Yes.
A lot. And I'm on my phone a lot. More than I'm proud to admit.
Sure.
But we're building something. We're doing something. Okay. It's something that we believe in.
Right.
It has a purpose. But on that day, I put my phone down. And I wanted to make sure that my kids, all of them, even the oldest, didn't see me with a phone in my hand and my head pointed down at that phone.
Right.
I was in the moment with them all day long.
There you go.
And that's something that as parents, we all have the ability and responsibility to do.
Quick question, because I saw some of the pictures and it looked great. A big haul too. I mean, a table full of fish. But in the ones I saw, the kids looked so excited, all three of them. But that being said, how long did it take before they pivoted from that lure of the device to get into the day of fishing? And because they looked into it.
Well, I have to say this. It took 30 seconds.
There you go.
Honestly, it was so fast. From the time he went in the house to put the iPad up as we were walking out the door, he had the iPad. Mm-hmm. I sent him back inside. I said, go back, put it away. When he came back out, he was already happy, and we were headed, to go fishing.
Right.
And
I've asked that for a reason, and that's to encourage folks in our audience, either to you or encourage someone else, to say they will be okay. They will actually pivot to what it is you ask them to do, as long as it's not something that's that's just a don't. You actually filled it with a let's go do. And they knew right then, okay, it's fishing mode. And so they didn't gripe or complain or cry or whine. They just went right into the activity. Most of the time, I believe that will happen.
Yeah.
The parents have the courage to say, no, not today.
And I think that's very accurate. Do any of you out there in our audience, do you guys have any stories like that? Have you? And listen, I want first and foremost for you to understand that we have no judgment. If you use an iPad to help you as a babysitter, hey, I'm guilty.
Yeah.
100% I'm guilty. And to be honest, I also think that an iPad can be a great learning tool. As long as it is controlled, monitored, and limited.
Yes.
That's one of the biggest aspects,
Sure.
So
either as a tool or recreation.
Yes.
I mean, I was a dad that enjoyed sports, so my kids got to see me get up in the morning on Saturdays and get my list of things done, so I could be done by midday. Come in, cool off, take a shower, get something to eat, and I was sitting there watching ball games. And they got to come and enjoy and do some of those things with me, But we also had, this modest list of non-negotiables. These things had to be done.
That's right.
And once they were done, I don't want to say I didn't care. I mean, I monitored what they did, but there was a little more flexibility at that point. And I think most parents want to get it forward rather than backward. I think they want to do that in some forward order. Now, if you find yourself getting it backward, be honest with yourself and be honest with your kid and say, hey, I'm sorry, I've been doing this wrong and we're going to make this right.
Yes.
And your kid may whine for a moment, but that's just an immediate reaction to that sense of deprivation. And once they quickly learn that they can actually still participate just in a better way, they'll be fine. They will be fine. Now, trust me, because I talked to enough parents who worry about it and then realized there was really nothing to worry about.
And we talk about the iPhone, or we talk about the smartphone, not just the iPhone. I don't want to villainize any one particular phone over another, or vilify. But something that, this is just a progressive thing. Okay, we are in an evolutionary process of technology. When I was a kid, it was Saturday morning cartoons.
Yes,
I was left to my own devices to watch Saturday morning cartoons, and I remember this. I'm going to date myself here, so y'all look out. I watched the Smurfs, and I liked them.
Okay.
But my favorite was always Bugs Bunny and all the Looney Tunes characters. Those are, and still, some of the greatest humor, greatest cartoons ever created.
Right.
I don't care who says what. You can't argue that. You won't win.
You won't win.
I promise. And I'm including Marvin the Martian and all the other. They are all included. So what happened was the parents, my parents and everybody, all of my kids my age, parents didn't want to get up on Saturdays because they had worked all week. Typically, they had worked all week. So the TV became the babysitter.
Sure. Because
the kids woke up early and ate cereal or Pop-Tarts or whatever junk food it was that we could find.
Right.
And then we watched Saturday morning cartoons until noon.
Yeah.
If the parents wanted to sleep long enough. And that was our babysitter.
Yeah.
So all that's happened is we've carried on this tradition. And I'm sure before that it was radio. I'm sure before that it was, whatever came before that.
Right.
A phonograph or whatever. But the point is that this has been a progressive problem.
Yes.
It's been something we've been building on generation upon generation. It's not new.
Right.
So if we talk about it, maybe we can improve on it.
That's it. That's it. Dialogue, makes the difference. And
so,
yes,
I got a question from someone in the audience.
Okay, and it's
a fun question. It's not anything to do with this particular topic, but it's about our practice.
Okay.
So, I'm gonna go ahead and say what the question is. I'm not going to call him out. I don't want to embarrass him in any way. He is a friend and a fan, I believe. But the question is, he says, I see y'all show. See bits and pieces of it, and then I see the show, and he hasn't been able to come full circle about what we at Pursuit of Purpose do.
Okay.
And what Pursuit of Purpose is.
All right.
So we'll go over that a little bit. Okay. Number one, my good friend and partner here, Chuck Olaf, is the greatest grief counselor that the industry has ever seen. I know that's a big statement, but he's been in the business for over 30 years. Not trying to say he's old, but I've seen younger dirt. And he was that's how he and I became friends. Yes. My wife and I went to him for grief counseling, and then other things, and we became friends and ended up getting into business together.
Yes.
What happened is actually that at one point in time, a few years ago, golly, it's been 5 years or more now. I went through a transition in my own life where I got to a transformational period where it was time for a change. Yeah. And not just a change of what I was doing on the outside, but on the inside. Yes. I had to change. I knew I wasn't where I needed to be. I wasn't doing what I was supposed to be doing. Right. And there was a lot of phone calls with Chuck, talking through it and everything. And anyway, and some encouragement from my beautiful wife. One morning, she told me, I think you're a life coach. I didn't really understand that. What in the world is a life coach, right? So
if we had to put a label on it.
Yeah. So anyway, looked it up. Yeah. And to shorten the story a little bit for you guys, I went through several different certification programs and then became master certified in 4 different areas. And here we are. So we are coaches and counselors. We do leadership training. We do executive coaching. We do culture building for companies. We work with municipalities. We work with all sorts of entities and individuals. We do executive, did I say executive coaching?
Leadership, but executive coaching.
Yeah. We do all of these things. And then we do entrepreneurial business development. We help people discover and pursue their purpose.
Right.
And that is one of my favorite things on this planet to do.
Right. So if you notice, we similarly, we both have had our own businesses. We both have managed situations where we had folks working underneath us. So there was some development there. And then our own personal transformation, because likewise, right about 19 or 20, I was going through a big transformation myself. And
he's talking about 2019 and 2020, not his age. He can't remember.
No, I can't remember that far back. That's right. Let's see. What college was I? Yeah. Well, whose money was I wasting in? So, but that person. So between helping influence the people that work with us and for us, to basically making some of those recent major transformations in our personal life. And so all of this stuff that we're consuming to make that go well eventually turned into what we would call product and service. And that's where Pursuit of Purpose came from. And so we both get to not only work with teams of folks, we get to work with individuals in those teams. And, and sometimes that translates to on-site, on-campus things. And sometimes it translates into in our office. We could call that some form of counseling here. But our favorite is to get to go out and to meet people in their element and help them do that well and do some of those in-house transformations. And it's just been a privilege to see people open up these pockets of growth that they kind of didn't even know they had. I love seeing that. And it's inspirational and keeps me motivated for sure.
Yes. And if you out there in the audience, if you're at a place where you feel that you're at a crossroads or you're at a place where you're seeking transformation, we'd love to help you.
Yes.
We would love to become a resource for you if you would be so inclined to allow us that honor and privilege. And then if you have a company and you'd like to maybe do some out of the ordinary exercises that have real impact, lasting impact on your leadership team, on your entire organization, on your culture, let us know. We'd love to help. We would love to help facilitate it, lead it, design it, custom build it just for you, just for your organization. This wasn't intended to be an advertisement today on the show, but we had a question from the audience. So,
and thank you for asking.
Thank you for asking.
Yeah, we enjoy talking about what we do, and we wish we could put it into just a short little 1 minute slogan that you see on a commercial, but it's a little more complicated than that, especially when it comes to fitting an immediate need, a more personal need in a company, because every company, nobody is a replicated model.
That's right.
And so they have different pursuits. They have different ways of getting there. They have different goals for themselves, different visions. And it's just a privilege to get to help people kind of fine tune that vision and the mission on how they're going to get there.
That's right.
And so we really enjoy working in those capacities, because at the end of the day, it's people getting the most out of their own personal experiences. It's about people, and profit comes later. Profit comes in many forms. A lot of it's knowledge more than it is money, but money's part of it too. And so we get a chance to be a part of all of those things.
Well, we're going to call it a day for this episode. We really appreciate all of you joining in for your engagement and involvement. We would love to hear from you. If you have anything that you'd like us to discuss, if you'd have anything you'd like to ask about or talk about, please send us a message. Anytime we're on the air, you're always welcome to call in at 409-284-1540. We would love to have your engagement on the show. Thank you all for the questions and everything. Thank you for allowing us to become a part of the pursuit of your purpose. I'm Rob.
I'm Chuck.
And thank you for joining us for this episode of the What Are We Doing podcast. Y'all have a great day. We'll talk soon.